Okay, this is 48-year-old Samuel Rappley Bateman, a demented pervert who, according to an Arizona Department of Justice article dated December 10th, is described as the leader of a child sexual abuse ring. Now, after years of the depraved abuse he perpetrated on innocent children, this creep finally, on Monday, December 9th, was sentenced to serve 50 years in prison for his crimes. So, let me give you some background on this child abuser. This guy was once a trusted member of the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also referred to as the FLDS. For those of you who don't recognize the organization, this is the polygamous cult that the infamous convicted rapist Warren Jeffs led, the man who was known as being the Doomsday Prophet. According to an article dated February 15th, 2024 from the U.S. Sun, as the self-proclaimed prophet of the cult, Warren Jeffs reportedly had at least 78 wives, 24 under the age of 17, with one being 12 at the time she became his wife, and another 13. Now, what is beyond my comprehension is after the authorities were made aware of how the majority of those in this FLDS cult was not only aware that Warren Jeffs was abusing young girls, but was actively supporting it, that this cult has been permitted to operate to this day. After all, how mindless must one be to believe that if the members of this cult knowingly and actively supported the horrific abuse of these young girls by grown men, that this abuse would not continue? Regardless, this is the organization that Samuel Rappley Bateman was once a trusted member of. Now, it was sometime before 2016 when Bateman left the FLDS cult to start his own offshoot of the organization, whereby he self-proclaimed himself as God's prophet. After looking deeper into this guy, a People.com article dated December 7, 2022 reports that he, being Bateman, allegedly had more than 20 wives, including at least one of his own daughters. This known one daughter purportedly being approximately 13 at the time. The article also reports that Bateman once arrived at a woman's home with an SUV full of young female followers he introduced as his wives, including a girl around 9 years old. Another article dated December 10, 2024 from the District of Arizona DOJ reports that Bateman, who represented himself as a religious prophet, was the leader of a years-long child sexual abuse conspiracy that spanned several states and victimized at least 10 children. Beginning in 2019, Bateman amassed followers in Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and Nebraska. In 2020 and 2021, Bateman's followers gave their minor daughters and wards to him as child brides to sexually abuse. The victims were as young as 9 years old. Through coercion and manipulation, Bateman regularly forced his victims to participate with him in individual and group sexual activities with adults and other children. He gave one of the victims to an adult male follower to be sexually abused, and on another occasion, transmitted a live video stream of child sexual abuse to his followers. Bateman and others transported the victims between states to facilitate the sexual abuse, which continued until Bateman's arrest on federal charges in September of 2022. Upon hearing that Bateman's followers would willingly give him their young daughters, I hope you can understand why it is that after this Bateman-led group and the FLDS were both revealed to be actively involved in child sexual assault, that I cannot reconcile how our legal system allowed these cults to yet operate as if they believed that these people would not continue abusing innocent girls. After all, according to an ABC News article dated December 9, 2024, the alleged practice of sect members sexually abusing girls whom they claim as spiritual wives has long plagued the FLDS. So, clearly it is not like the authorities have not been long aware of the ongoing abuse of innocent young girls within these cults. What is not clear to me is how law enforcement did not prioritize the need to save these children and put an end to their abuse. especially since, according to a Yahoo.com article dated December 9, 2024, a woman named Christine Marie, who runs a nonprofit called Voices for Dignity, which helps survivors of abuse, was quoted as saying concerning the Samuel Bateman cult, "We went to law enforcement to try to get them to do something. But it wasn't until I secretly recorded him confessing that things really got serious," she said. Marie said she spent almost a year filming the group while, quote unquote, pounding on the door to get law enforcement involved until the FBI finally took notice. According to the article, Marie used the false premise of filming a documentary about Bateman to get access to the group, whereby she would hopefully gain evidence to get law enforcement to react to the abuse of these young girls. I can only assume that she had to resort to this deception because the implication of her statement was that her banging on the door of law enforcement to get help for these young girls was not getting any response. She began filming in February of 2021 to find evidence, and it wasn't until September of 2022 that authorities finally arrested him. Hence, this pervert was permitted to continue molesting young girls for approximately a year and a half after Marie attempted to get law enforcement to act. Now, one would have to question just how it was that local law enforcement, who could have easily verified the information that this group came from the FLDS sex cult, did not take the viable probability of the horrific abuse these innocent young girls were enduring seriously enough to have investigated it. In my mind, this was an epic fail on the part of law enforcement. Why it was that it took so long for the FBI to get involved, I cannot answer. After all, we all know that the sexualization of children by disgusting perverts is a growing problem not just in this country, but in the world. And so why the FBI was not involved at the beginning of this confounds me. Fortunately, though, Marie got it done, and Samuel rapidly Bateman, with other men and women who either participated in the performance of these abuses or directly contributed to them, were arrested, tried, and sentenced for their crimes. This is what the Yahoo.com article that I referred to earlier goes on to report of a victim's statement made during his sentencing. A different girl, 17, told the courtroom that she wasn't speaking for the person she was today, a girl who has a safe home. "I'm here for the child who doesn't have a voice, who's being exploited, who wakes up every day a slave to the twisted passions of an evil person," she said. She said that the girls meant nothing to Bateman because he used them like toys, of which he would bore. She told the judge that people who had not experienced abuse like what she endured do not understand what it's like to heal from it, but that she would try to explain. "It's not daring to feel the pain because you don't know if you can stand it. It's lying in your bed, and I wonder if you even matter to anyone. It's endless therapy sessions full of tears that seem to solve nothing," she said. "It's not daring to trust anyone because you don't want to be hurt again. It's a heart that's shattered into a billion pieces that seem impossible to put back together." What a heartbreaking expose of not just the unspeakable physical harm that was done to these young girls, but to the mental and emotional traumas they will probably have to endure for the rest of their lives. Sadly, victimizers of innocent children exist within every level of our society, from the highest levels of our government to possibly even our next door neighbor. It is tragic to have to acknowledge that we unfortunately live in a world where there is no lack of pedophiles who attempt to sexualize children just to satisfy their own disgusting, evil, debased desires. And because of this, there continually exist countless other innocent children who are presently enduring atrocities committed upon them that will also ever have shattered hearts like this young girl spoke of. Because this Samuel Bateman is currently 48 years old, his being sentenced to 50 years in prison should ensure that he will never get out to harm another child again. And hopefully, cults like his and the FLDS will finally be permanently shut down by law enforcement so that no other innocent child would have to endure such horrors. So, let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments. And while you do that, please don't forget to punch that like button, share the video with others, and to make sure you hit that notification bell so you'll never miss a new video. I would greatly appreciate it if you would also hit that subscribe button, as we all know how important that is for a channel to grow. For those of you who have already subscribed, I just want to once again say thank you very much. I really appreciate the support. So, as always, I'd just like to say God bless you, and thanks so much for taking the time to listen. Until next time.